Hey everybody, welcome to my hobby. So, I'm talking about this comic book, which is really good, but I can compare it to this comic, which I just reviewed. So, both of these comics are setup comics. Like, they're building towards something, and there's a lot of setup. So they do similar things. These are dealing with the Arkham Knight and like the Arkham Knight gang. And then you've got this one, which deals with like the Thieves Guild. And they do several things similarly. Because like I said, it's a setup book. So one thing they gotta set up is they gotta set up the villain's plan. And in this, the villain's plan isn't totally revealed, but a couple of things happen. First of all, the identity of the villain, Arkham Knight, she takes her helmet off and shows Damian who she is to try to build his trust. But the mystery of the comic is, who is she? I mean, they don't know who she is. But what happens is she reveals to Damian her identity. She orders her men to put down their weapons that are drawn on Damian. They refuse. Two of them fire, and Damian gets hit, and she severely punishes them, cuts off one guy's hand. Damian, being Robin, flips around, pulls the arrow out, snatches up the arrow, the bow from the severed hand, and draws it on the people. Well, first of all, that's some badass action. That's great. That's good stakes, good conflict, good action, you know. Like, there's a seriousness to this that is very entertaining. And the art is just fantastic. I love it. But she ends up letting him go. So there's a plan going on here and a mystery. So they're setting up this guild. Like, this is what it is. Anyway, Damian goes back to Batman, and they are trying to figure out who she is. But how many pages is this? So they go back to the guild, and they're setting up the guild a little bit more. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 pages of kind of showing who these people are. And one, the art is great, but two, it's way more interesting than what happens in here. So, Dr. Phosphorus, I don't know this character, he comes out and he punishes the two soldiers of the Arkham Knight by burning them. And first of all, the art is great. The dialogue is sparse, and it shows the badass and violent nature of this group. You know, you don't mess with them. And it's all done expertly, and the art is really what lends. I mean, she's having them horribly scarred by a giant flaming skeleton. That's cool. That's badass. And this, what it does is not badass. It takes the same 4 pages, 1, 2, 3, 4. She's like condescending. She sort of talks down to this guy. There's way too much dialogue going on here. All it is he's in a club. The art is boring. This is just boring. They're in a club. All the people here like turn around and are just looking at him because they're all the Thieves Guild. She chides him. They simply take him and move him into the crowd, and then he's just like pulled down into the crowd screaming. I mean, nothing interesting is going on here really. Like, this is boring. That's what this is. This is not. Not only that, but the characterizations in this are dull, the way they give out exposition. So Tony calls Spider-Man and they're just talking, and he goes. In this, however, when Damian and Bruce are talking, it's funny. There are lots of, like, just they're having a conversation. Damian's such a jerk. I love him. He's great. Like, his lines make me laugh, but in a good way. So they're gonna go after Damien gets out of the place, they're going to go and break back into Arkham to get the Arkham Knight. And this is their dialogue, and it's funny. This is Damien talking. Need to give the Teen Titans a call. Let them know I'm going to play this out with you. And then Batman says, if you feel you have to get back to them, Damien, that's your decision. And Damien says, not a problem. When I say jump, they say how high. That's good, funny dialogue. Like, Damien's a jerk. But then there's this one. I'll hang around a while. Never know when you'll need to say when blah 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 blah. Sorry for fucking it up. I'll hang around a while. Never know when you'll need me to save you. And then Batman says, you do realize I was Batman for quite a while before you came along and held a sword to my throat. And then Damien says, yeah, good times. And then they go and they're going to drive through the streets, or through the sewers. And they're having a conversation because they can't figure out who the woman is. There's no record of her face recognition. Damien drew her face out, and there's no recognition. But they're going through the sewers, and Batman's directing him. And this is some of the dialogue right here. Floor it, boy. Iron rails ahead. And then Damien says, you do realize I drive with my eyes open, father. Like, it's good, funny banter. And then, of course, it ends on a mystery. As it turns out, the Arkham Knight is Astrid Arkham. And then it ends right there. But see, these two comics are setups, but they're entirely different in terms of tone, characterization. I mean, just look at the covers. Spider-Man's falling and his spider sense is going off. It's like, like you can tell that he's falling against his will. But it's not as interesting as this, where you have Robin tied up, a sword to his throat, and the bad guy saying, join me or die. Like, that's an establishment of a conflict. Stuff is happening here, and you know it's happening, whereas this is just kind of bland. Which is sad. Like, Spider-Man shouldn't be bland. But this is very good. Batman Detective Comics, number 1003. There's that Nosferatu advertisement again. I don't have cable, so I'm not going to be able to watch this, but I am interested in it. I have to tell my mother about this. She's very into Stephen King. She's also the one that got me into horror. My mother likes horror a great deal. My mother's probably the only mother in the world who let her very young son watch the movie The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. I saw that probably at an age. I don't even remember the first time I saw it. I was so young. But anyway, this is a good comic, and I can't emphasize the difference in artistic tone. Like, this is a very artsy page here. And the art in this, unlike the art in that, the art in The Amazing Spider-Man really doesn't complement the story very well. I mean, the story is bland and boring, but the art is just, panels of flat shots, and, it's kind of got that Saturday morning cartoon quality. Whereas this is clearly very, very serious. And, I mean, look at the composition. It's her face, and she's talking, and you get the bubbles, which show, like, her followers, and then you get a little bubble showing all of the villains and the cells. I know that's Victor Zsasz, but I don't know who these two are. I gotta catch up on that Batman, but the art is changed in such a way to complement the story. I guess you could say the art in The Amazing Spider-Man is complementary relative to the boring story. But anyway, these two comics, it's the difference between night and day. But Detective Comics, Tomasi's run, that's good. This is good stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching. Check out my other channel, Video Games TV. I talk about video games. Check out my other channel, Strange Cities TV, where I'll talk about film and stuff. Anyway, take care. Bye.